Hey everyone. So this afternoon we're going to be looking at Dropbox. So Dropbox is a file hosting service. It is essentially what one might refer to as a cloud or a cloud-based service. So any files that you add onto Dropbox are stored in the cloud or stored online and can be accessed from any of your devices. So say for example you upload something from your desktop computer, you'll be able to view that file on your phone, on your tablet, or any other devices that you have connected to the internet. So it can be a really great way of sharing files with yourself and also sharing files with friends or whoever else you want to disseminate those to. So we're going to take a look at some of the features and how to use Dropbox and set that all up today. Okay, so what is Dropbox? So as I was mentioning, Dropbox is cloud storage. So it stores any of the files that you add onto your Dropbox account online. So for instance, if say you want to store your photos online in case your hard drive fails, because hard drives, like any piece of mechanical equipment, can have failures. If you have those on your Dropbox account, then you'll be able to save some important documents or photos, and they won't be lost forever if you have any of those kinds of failures. So that can be very, very useful. Dropbox also makes it easy to transfer any of those files or photos or folders to another device. So like I was mentioning, you could upload something from your desktop computer and you can access that from your phone or your tablet or another device that's connected to the internet. You can also use Dropbox to view files on multiple devices. So say, for example, you took some photos on your camera phone and you want to then be able to look at them on your desktop later. So it's just a great way to kind of have this folder that's synced across multiple devices. So in terms of signing up, so Dropbox is free, but it's free only for the basic version. So you can try Dropbox for free by signing up for a basic account. It comes with 2 gigabytes of free storage, which is basically enough to kind of start using it. So for photos and whatnot, that'll get you a certain amount of photos on there. But if you're using it extensively to back up your computer, then 2 gigabytes is probably not going to cut it. But it is a good way to kind of get introduced to Dropbox to see if it is something that you do want to use as kind of more storage or backup for your computer files. So paying for Dropbox will get you more storage. So as you can see here, there's the Plus and the Professional version. These are monthly subscriptions. So depending on whether you get the Plus or the Professional, you can get anywhere from 1 to 2 terabytes of online cloud storage, which is quite a significant amount, especially if you're using it to back up your computer files. So that's on signing up. So if you want to get your free Dropbox account, you would go to dropbox.com and click on the link in the top left corner, which says Get Dropbox Basic. You can kind of see it outlined in red here. So once you do that, you're going to be prompted to enter your name, your email address, and a password, and also to agree to the Dropbox terms. So just as a heads up, you can also sync or basically use your Google account. So if you have Gmail or something, you can use that to sign up for Dropbox instead of creating a sort of separate Dropbox account. So then going forward, anytime you want to sign into Dropbox, you would just basically click sign in with Google, and then you would sign in with your Google account rather than a separate Dropbox account. All right, so you can either use Dropbox through your browser. There is an interface kind of built into the browser itself, or you can download it from your web browser to have it on your desktop or have it on your mobile device. So to do that, once you're signed in, once you've created your account, you would click on your icon. So in sort of the top right-hand corner of the screen, you would click on that icon, and then there should be an option to install, and you can install Dropbox that way. So that will have, that will give you the actual application for your desktop rather than accessing it through the web portal. That was for desktop, by the way. So if we're talking about a tablet or mobile device, you'll need to either go to the Apple App Store. So if you're using an iPhone or an iPad, you would go to the Apple App Store to download Dropbox. Alternatively, if you're using a Samsung device or any Google-based software or Google-based devices, you would go to the Google Play Store and you would just type in Dropbox. It should be like the first thing that pops up. It should look like this icon on the right here. So we're going to focus on how to use Dropbox on the desktop for this presentation, but just bear in mind that most of what we're talking about is going to be pretty well the same for any of the mobile apps, whether it's on your Apple phone or whether it's on your Samsung phone. All right, so once you have Dropbox downloaded and installed, it will appear on either the top menu bar if you're using a Mac computer, so you kind of see there on the top screen, or it'll appear in your menu bar in the lower right-hand corner if you're on a Windows computer. So it kind of looks like this little box, which makes sense, Dropbox. So if you click on that icon, you get quick access to any of the Dropbox functions, which we will go over. So if you want to add files to your Dropbox, which is generally what we're using it for, we want to add something to our web storage to access it elsewhere. So all you have to do for the desktop version is just drag and drop files. So you would click on whatever file you want and hold that and drag it into your Dropbox window there. So what you would do first is click Dropbox in your menu bar, as I was saying. So click that little icon that we saw previously. Then in the window that appears in the top right-hand corner, there should be this little icon that looks like a folder. It should be kind of beside your profile icon on the far right there. So if you click on that, that will open your Dropbox folder. So it'll open a window that you can then drag and drop files into. You can also get to this folder through your Finder if you're using a Mac computer or File Explorer. So when you're going into your documents, for example, or your downloads folder, there should also be a folder called Dropbox, and it kind of just looks like any kind of folder on your computer. Using that, you can drag and drop files into it. So there's two ways you can add files. So like I was saying, either you can drag and drop, and that will basically put that item into Dropbox, or you can create a copy that you put into Dropbox. So you either can have the file kind of live exclusively in Dropbox, so exclusively kind of on the cloud, or you can create a copy of a file on your desktop computer that will be synced with Dropbox. So that was on adding it using the desktop app. So you can also use the web browser. So say, for example, you're just using Chrome or Safari, you can still access Dropbox that way rather than having it installed on your desktop computer. So to do that, you would go onto the Dropbox website, sign into your account, and then there is an option to add files. So you can basically either, again, drag and drop. So once you have that screen open, you can drag and drop whatever file you want into the screen and it should upload it onto your Dropbox. Alternatively, there is a button. So you'll see this create new file option in the menu. And you have an option either to upload files, upload folder. So you could either upload individual files using that upload files button, or you can upload an entire folder. So say you have an entire folder of photos you want to add to your Dropbox, you can do it that way. All right, so we'll just kind of go over some of the other controls with respect to Dropbox. So again, this is back to the desktop application version. So that little box icon that you'll see either in the lower right-hand corner of your menu if you're using a Mac, or sorry, if you're using a Windows computer, or the upper menu if you're using a Mac. So what you would do is click that icon, and then we have these three menu options here. So the For You, if you click on For You, this is basically going to give you all of the files and folders that Dropbox is basically suggesting some are things that you might want to access based on your recent activity. So maybe there are files that you've been accessing a lot or modifying a lot lately, so it'll kind of display those as sort of like a quick menu so that you can get to them more quickly. To the right of that, you'll see Recent. So Recent is going to show you the last 30 files that you uploaded to Dropbox. So again, that can just be easy if you're just trying to find, say I don't know, you uploaded your resume and you don't want to search through your Dropbox to figure out where you put that. If you just uploaded it the other day, then it's going to show up in that Recent menu there. Lastly, on the far right, you'll see notifications. So clicking notifications, it'll notify you of any changes that have happened to any of the files that you've shared in your Dropbox. So maybe the file updated, say for example, you have Dropbox synced up with a certain file or a certain folder, sorry, on your computer, it will tell you, hey, this was last updated yesterday at 3 or something. So that's just kind of going to sort of give you those notifications to those files. All right, so in still on the same menu, but now we're looking at sort of that top right-hand corner of the menu. So this little plus sign that we see here, this allows you to create new files. So for example, if you want to start a new Word document, if you want to start a new PowerPoint, anything like that, this allows you to create those files and basically save them directly to your Dropbox. So to the right of that, you see Dropbox Paper. So Dropbox Paper, it's very similar to Google Docs. Basically, I don't know who attended the previous session we had on Google Docs, but it's more suited toward collaborative kind of sort of more team-based activities. So for example, you're sharing a document with some classmates or some colleagues and you want to all be able to modify it at the same time and sort of assign tasks and have sort of this like task list and whatnot. Dropbox Paper is more for that. So similar to Google Docs, it's more collaboration based rather than word processor focused. But that's something that kind of comes built in as part of Dropbox. So that can be an interesting thing to explore if you think that might be useful. So that's that icon there. To the right of that, we see this little circle with the sort of lines through it there. That is a link to Dropbox.com. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the Dropbox website. It'll open it in your whatever your default internet browser is, whether that's Explorer or Safari or Chrome. And again, that's going to be the actual website rather than the app that you have downloaded on your desktop. All right, so still on this menu, so to the right of that circle there, we have this little folder icon. So if you click on that, it will take you to the Dropbox folder on your computer. So somewhere on your computer, you're gonna have a folder that is basically will always sync with Dropbox. So it'll kind of look like any other folder on your computer. It should be called Dropbox. And that's where you would drag and drop any files that you want to sync with your Dropbox account. So if you click on that icon, it will take you to that folder. It'll open it up in Explorer, or I guess Finder is what it's called on a Mac computer. And you can kind of see what's in your folder. You can add, remove things using that. And then to the right of that, so we see this little MC. So that's just, that's the profile icon for this account. So yours might not say MC, but just a heads up. So if you click on that, there's the little sort of down facing arrow to the right of it. That's going to open up another menu for you. So it's got multiple entries on it, as we can see here in this second sort of screenshot in the lower right-hand corner. So it's going to tell you the percentage of your Dropbox space that's currently being used. So you can see right here, we've got about 25% or so of the 2 gigabytes on this individual's account is being used. It gives you an option just below that that says get more space. So if you click that, that's going to take you to the Dropbox website where you can sign up for and basically pay for one of the upgraded accounts. So the Pro and the Business, I think they were. Just below that, you see kind of grayed out here this message that says up to date. So that's just basically giving you an indication that everything has already been synced. There's nothing currently syncing to your account. Your folder's up to date. So sometimes if you're dragging and dropping like a really big folder or big file into your Dropbox, it will take some time to upload. So this is just kind of a way you can see if that sync is finished or not. Just below that up to date there, we see something that says pause syncing. So kind of as I was just saying, some files might take a little while to sync because they're bigger files, or something's just in process of syncing. If you click pause syncing, then it will pause whatever it was uploading into your Dropbox account. Just below that, we see view sync issues. So that would be, say for example, you actually have run out of space on your Dropbox account and something just isn't syncing and you're not sure why it keeps having an error. If you were to click on that View Sync Issues option in this menu here, it would take you to kind of, I guess like a log or a messaging that would tell you, hey, this isn't syncing because we ran out of space, or maybe there was some other error related to the syncing that's causing that file to not upload correctly. So that's kind of where you can see that information. Below that, we have snooze notifications. So usually Dropbox will tell you if there's a syncing issue or if it's in the process of uploading or syncing something. So snooze notifications will just snooze those little windows that'll pop up and give you those notifications. Below that, we have the preferences option, which will take you into the preferences window. And just below that, the Help Center, which will take you to the Dropbox website and kind of has some like facts and just sort of general information that you can search and find out more there. And then lastly, that option to quit Dropbox. So that'll just close Dropbox out on your computer. So that's that menu. So we'll talk a little bit more about Dropbox preferences. So in the preferences menu there, you'll find some information on just settings for Dropbox. So right now we're just in the first window here, general. So there's an option, that very first little checkbox there that's currently checked, you'll see it says Start Dropbox on System Startup. So what this does is anytime you restart your computer or you turn it on, you turn it back off again later, Dropbox will automatically start as Windows is starting or as your Mac OS is starting. And that's just so that if you did want to sync anything with Dropbox, you don't have to go start it up first to then be able to sync it. So if you don't have Dropbox starting on System Startup, you will need to go open that program wherever it is on your desktop or in your programs menu in order to be able to drag and drop those files into Dropbox and have them sync. So that's just something to keep in mind. I think the default is that it will start on System Startup. If you have a computer that is really struggling on startup and it's really slow, then you might want to disable that. But generally speaking, if you're using Dropbox regularly, it's probably better to leave that checked. So just below that, you can also have it open the desktop app when starting Dropbox. So, same thing, just Dropbox will start on System Startup and it'll actually open the desktop app and not necessarily the browser app. So there's some language settings as well. So right now, I think the default should just say system language. So whatever your computer is set to, whether that's English, French, Spanish, whatever, it'll sync with that. Below that, so the Dropbox badge, that's just referring to that little box icon that we were seeing earlier that should be either in the lower right-hand corner or the top part of your screen if you're running a Windows or a Mac. So right now, I think, again, the default is to be always showing. If you want it to be hidden for some reason, you can change that option here to never show or to, I think there's one other one. But that's just kind of up to you if that's your preference. And then just below that, so the open folders in. So right now we're looking at, by the way, a screenshot from a Mac computer. So if you're running Windows, it will look slightly different, but same menu options. So right now it's going to automatically open like your Dropbox folder in Finder, which is the default program in a Mac computer for looking at any of your folders or files. You can change that to a different default if you so wish, but generally speaking, you're probably going to want to just leave that as whatever the default is. So that was in the general options there. To the right, you'll see that we have account. So you can click on that, and here you'll see basically just information about your account. So it'll give you the account email that you're currently signed into. Below that, it'll indicate how much space you have used, and then there is an option to unlink. So basically, if you don't want so you've downloaded Dropbox on your computer and say you've created another Dropbox account, or I don't know, your sister wants to log into her Dropbox or something on your computer, you would have to unlink the Dropbox account that you currently have basically link to your program on your computer and then sign in with the one that you would like to link to instead. So that's just what that does. So to the right of that, we have the backups menu here. So backups allows you to, you can basically set this up to automatically sync your entire computer or parts of your computer. So say your photos folder or your documents or whatever it is that you want to have automatically sync with Dropbox, you can set that up here. So this can be really useful if you're primarily using Dropbox as a way to have backups of anything that you think is important and you want to protect against, you know, your computer getting damaged or your hard drive failing or what have you. So you can set that up in this option. So again, you can specify which folders or like what you want to automatically sync. And every time that you're on the internet, so important thing to keep in mind, you do need to be on the internet to sync. So anytime you're on the internet, it will, Dropbox will automatically sync those specified folders for you. So that's that. Just below that, we have this photo section here. So right now we have it checked for, basically it's going to automatically upload it's going to enable camera uploads for photos. So anytime you plug your phone, say, into Dropbox or you're signed on with your phone, it should automatically load all the photos onto Dropbox. So this can be really good, again, if you have an iPhone or whatever phone you're using and you want to have updates, or sorry, you want to upload all your files onto Dropbox and have those be backed up there. This can be a really good way of setting that up. And just below that, we also have, so there's this devices sections here. So this is just if, say, you have like a camera plugged into your computer, you can configure your device in this section. But just below that, there's also the screenshot section. So if you're taking screenshots on your computer and you want them to automatically upload onto Dropbox, you can select that little checkbox there and it will automatically basically share those with your Dropbox account. All right, so now we're into the network section here. So this is kind of where you can change the rate at which some files upload and download. So under bandwidth there, if you click on change settings, you can specify how much bandwidth you're basically allocating to, to your Dropbox account. So if you want to enable it to have access to more of your bandwidth, you can kind of fiddle around with those settings there. I won't get too in depth about that. If anyone's curious or wants to ask a question about that during the breakout rooms, we can get into a little bit more detail. Likewise for the proxies, that's just underneath that. So if you need to open some proxies or whatever, if there's some settings with your router that you need to bypass, you can change those proxy settings here. So once again, that's kind of maybe a little bit more advanced. So if anyone does have specific questions regarding bandwidth or proxies, we can talk about that in the breakout rooms. All right, so just to the right of that now, we're going to look at notifications. So this is just to change your settings for the little like notify window that'll come up either on your phone or tablet or on your desktop computer. So if you want to limit what kind of notifications appear, you can do so here. So right now, just everything's checked, but maybe you only want to get notified when a file is shared with you or when a new file has synced that you've dragged and dropped into your Dropbox folder. So you can change those settings here. And alternatively, if you're just like, I don't want any notifications, there is an option to snooze notifications. So if you turn that on, then you won't get notifications for any of those things up above. All right, so lastly in this menu, we have sync. So this is where you can set up selective sync so that only folders that you've selected will get updated on your Dropbox. So basically, you can choose which folders you don't want Dropbox to see and you don't want it to access, and you can kind of determine that here. Or if there's certain folders on your actual Dropbox account, rather, that you just don't want to appear on the desktop app, you can set that up here, so you can hide certain things. You'll still be able to see them if you go onto the web browser and go to your Dropbox account on Dropbox.com there. but this is just kind of, they won't sync onto your desktop computer is what I mean to say. So maybe you want to just save all of your photos on the cloud, but you don't want them to constantly sync with your device. You want them to just exist on the cloud to save your device space. So that's kind of how you can selectively sync those in this menu option here. And then also just below that, so there's the Dropbox folder location. So you can change where Dropbox is located. So there'll be a default place, a default directory, so folder or whatever on your computer that it will be located. You can change where that is if maybe it's just more convenient to have it located elsewhere. Maybe you don't want it on your C drive or you want it on your desktop or something. This is where you can change where that folder is located. All right, so in terms of using Dropbox, using it with the desktop app is pretty straightforward. So any of the files that you add to your Dropbox folder or sync are going to automatically be copied to your Dropbox account, which again, your Dropbox account, you can access on Dropbox.com to see everything that you currently have uploaded to it. So you can find any files that you have in your Dropbox very easily using this little search bar here. So again, this is after you click on the Dropbox icon in your taskbar, whether that's the bottom right-hand corner or the top part of your screen. You click on that, you'll get into this menu, and you'll see this search Dropbox option. So you can basically type in whatever file name you're trying to find, and it'll give you your results there. You can also find those files by just opening your Dropbox account. So again, that little folder icon in this blue menu here, so second to the right, if you click on that, it'll also just open the Dropbox folder on your computer and you can find your files there. If you want to share files, so say for example, you've uploaded a bunch of photos to your Dropbox and you want to share them with friends. So what you can do is from your desktop, you would navigate to the item in your Dropbox folder that you want to share. So either you would open the Dropbox folder itself, or you could use that little search option that I showed you on the previous slide. And what you do is you would right click on the file that you want to share. And there should be an option, a little menu that pops up. So you can see this, this dark menu here. So down a few options, we have this share option that you can click. So if you click share, you'll be able to basically send a link or share it with like a specific email, I believe is how that works. And that will send it to whomever it is that you're trying to share the file with. There is also the option as well if you actually are looking at, so just in this little screenshot at the bottom, just below that menu, if you're looking at a file in your Dropbox, you'll see this little icon that has kind of a person with a plus sign. And if you click that, that'll also open this menu to give you sort of the sharing options. So you can either do it that first way that I showed you, or just look beside the file that you wish to share and you'll see that icon, click that, and you can share it with someone. So like I said, so once you've hit that share icon, you'll get this menu pop up. So either you can get a link. So at the bottom of this menu here, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, I have this option to create link. So that would be that if you create a link to something, I believe there's some privacy options on it, but basically you can copy that and send that to whomever it is you wish to share the file with. Alternatively, on that top part of the screen, you see I have this to option. And so this is where you can type down the email address, for example, of someone you wish to share it with, and you can use it that way. So basically it'll send them an email notification saying that you wish to share something with them, and then they can access it through that email. Something to keep in mind, you do have some kind of options with sharing. So in this case, to the right of that to on our screen here, you see it says can edit. So basically, whoever I share this with will be able to edit the file that I send them. So they'll be able to make modifications to it. If you want them to just be able to view it, for example, you can click on that can edit, and there'll be a little drop down. It'll give you the option to just allow them to view it instead. So just something to bear in mind. So yeah, so either they'll be able to view the file or they'll be able to edit it. All right, so that was using the desktop app. So if you're using your browser, so you're going through the website itself instead, it looks a little bit different, but still the sharing options are pretty much the same. So what you would do is you'd go to your Dropbox. You see here I have one of the files selected that I want to share. So if you click on that share button on that particular file that you wish to share, that same window that we were just looking at before, so this one here, will pop up and you'll be able to either put in an email address or again, create a link and share that way. So that's the desktop and that's the website version of sharing, but both of them pretty similar. Okay, so like I was saying before, it is free to use Dropbox if you have a basic account, but you are limited to only 2 gigabytes a month. So you might, if you're using Dropbox frequently, or if you're using it as a way to back up your photos, you might find that you eventually run out of space. 2 gigabytes is not really that much in today's day and age, so something to bear in mind. If you do run out of space, you can upgrade your Dropbox. So if you ever want to do that, there are many of these buttons you'll see, because I'm sure they would like us all to upgrade so that they can get our monthly subscriptions out of us. So you'll either see that in the desktop version. There's that option. Sorry, it should be. Just wanted to show you the actual, oh, there we go. So if you open the menu on your desktop, you'll see in the lower right-hand corner there's that upgrade button. So you can click that and it'll take you to the website to be able to upgrade your Dropbox. Alternatively, on the website itself, there'll be an option, either it'll say upgrade or it'll say get more space. If you click any of those buttons, that will take you to basically a website or a page on the website that will walk you through basically upgrading your Dropbox account. So you'll keep your same account, but it'll add that monthly subscription to it, and you'll go from 2 gigabytes to either 1 or 2 terabytes, depending on which version you upgrade to.